Hey YouTube, I'm going to take a little bit of time today to do a quick update video on this build. I'm going to upload this on both of my channels. So if you're seeing this under my first channel that's just Guy Wilson, I've got a new channel that this is going on. And it's Guy Wilson Welding and Fabrication, the same as my Facebook and Instagram. This was just to make it easier for people to find me. People started asking me where I am on YouTube and if I have one, and they would look me up under Guy Wilson and they couldn't find me. So everything is now going under Guy Wilson Welding and Fabrication, just to keep things the same across the board. So for those new or those that are just catching up, I got the body back on today after getting this engine mounted over the weekend. I built this custom front and rear cross members, and they're both solid mounted to the engine. This is a 97 Sportster 1200 XL engine, and from 2003 and up, these were rubber mounted. They had a big rubber bushing right here and also one in the rear that sat in the frame cradle on the motorcycle. But 2003 and prior, they were all solid mounted. I know it's going to probably create quite a bit more vibration, but I really don't care. It's all in the theme of a hot rod. I'm pretty sure this thing's going to be pretty brutal as it is, which is kind of the point. So anyhow, to catch everyone up, this started out as a sidecar off of a vintage Stibe motorcycle, which is a German company that's been around since the early 1900s. And I basically put this roof on and turned it into a Model A hot rod body. This dip right here was original, obviously, to the sidecar for you to get your leg in and out. The bike itself would have been on that side. I am going to be eventually changing this line to match that one. I'm going to bring this straight across and up just to keep it more in the vibe of an actual Model A body. The oil tank for this engine is going to mount in the cowl with the cap probably right here, which is where the gas tank is on a Model A body. So that actually worked out really good. And a lot of people have asked me about this body and how I did it, or if I have English wheels, power hammers, planishing hammers, all of that. And the answer is no. I do not have any modern metalworking sheet metal tools. I basically went old school and made this metal shrinking stump. This was actually how the majority of sheet metal was shaped back in the day. And it's basically, like the name says, a tree stump. And this bowl was cut with a circular saw, and I added this one, a shallower one, just so I could get a little bit wider difference in profiles, and then two flat spots here. And basically you hammer in here, which creates tucks in the sheet metal, and then you got to hammer them back flat here, which shrinks them so that you get shapes like this. And they were all hand planished to get all the roughness out. And for that, I basically used like gas cylinder caps and the appropriate hammer. And then I've got a couple of other round objects that I use here in the shop for stuff like that. And that's it. The rest, I mean, it's all the same way you would do any custom sheet metal fabrication. I use all TIG tacks. I know most people use MIG for this type of work. And same thing with these holes. I don't have a dimple die set. Those were all done by hand too. So if people tell you you need an English wheel or a power hammer or a power planishing hammer, you don't. And of course, this, keeping with a Ratrod theme, I'm basically leaving it like this. It's bare steel. It's going to rust however it rusts. And I do have to get new shocks now for the front. I've got brand new in the box another set of these. But originally this was going to get a 420 Hemi Predator. I had already purchased the engine and the torque converter for it. And then after thinking it over and also seeing the actual size of this thing and going with 14-inch wheels, I decided that this engine was definitely the way to go. My honest opinion, there's a lot of people building 420, 670 Predators, the whole Predator thing now. But by the time you pay the initial cost of the engine, by the time you add in a torque converter, by the time you get a billet rod and valve spring so it doesn't fly apart, and put a cam in it so it'll rev out, blah, blah, blah. Believe me, for what I paid for this, you're just wasting your money. I got this engine for half of what one of those would have cost built. This engine puts out double the power stock and has a 4-speed transmission, which will smoke any 1-speed torque converter any day. You know, these engines from the factory were built to rev out. So that's just my 2 cents on the whole Predator versus motorcycle engine thing. I went with the Harley engine just because to me it's more hot rod and the sound and the torque. This is also getting a drop straight axle front end. Normally you would see your double A-arms with a coilover, and I'm doing a drop straight axle just like a real hot rod. Again, I just want to keep that look. And I am going to be getting in and out of the roof. This trunk lid actually opens reverse. So I'm basically planning on putting a step inside of there. So you could put 1 foot on top of this tire, 1 foot on that, then get in, and then basically turn around and just close the lid behind you. And this is going to get a cage now that this engine's in here. All right, guys, there you go.